good with that.
So Lynn, I think one of the things we were going to work on next in governance was looking at the charters, weren't we?
This
Yep.
first time I read it, that's his advertised.
So this makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, the to-do list is forever there, but yeah, this was, I think we were worried about compliance first, making sure that we were in compliance with everything that was pretty major, and then going into some of the,
Did, yeah, you get the regular filings in, but now you do have, it looks like a conflict between the two.
correct.
So,
How's everything, Michael?
The charter,
How's everything?
because it wasn't
Family, everybody okay?
a little,
So-
like 4 items just on the chart, the bylaws, they have to be
Matched up.
right, changed, or one of them's just a typo.
yeah, and I think.
Yeah, you throw that in the
what
mail, Mike,
the-
okay?
The
When
business
you're done.
decision is, for the group is.
I know you
is
do it, but I
what do
just-
you want the number to be?
You got my address
right?
anyhow,
So this 2 or 3, you know,
We can
whatever you
put-
want it to be. I think if you're going to appoint committees.
You'll probably send it at the same
You
time.
should do what the bylaws say.
See, the bylaws you can't do, you have to give 10 days notice.
No, not change, follow them, right?
Oh,
I wasn't
follow
here
them.
last year,
Oh,
remember?
okay,
I've never been
okay,
here
oh, you
before
mean-
for an organizational meeting. I have no idea how many people were supposed to be on the board, right? But if your bylaws say this is what you're supposed to do, I think that trumps a charter, okay?
Right, and the charter
So-
says 3, but the bylaws call for 2.
But I think from a precedent standpoint, it's always the main charter, then your bylaws. These governance charters are after the fact, and, you know, arguably, this governance charter hasn't been looked at since 2008.
So we want to go with 3.
Bylaws were amended most recently in 2018.
Where'd you go to
So
school?
I think even on that, there's, the judgment of
Where
a
else?
prior board is
Where
that
else?
this
Did
is
you go
what
to
it
college?
should be. So when you're looking at your
All
numbers
my kids
here,
went to Depew,
I would do that, and then if you're going to add a third person, which I think is.
although my son went
Again,
to
I'm
St.
just-
Joe's.
These are opinions, right? It's up to you guys to make decisions. But if you're gonna have 3, it's nice, because then you have a quorum with 2 people showing up at least to a
Right.
committee meeting.
So in other words, we're gonna
But we have
adjust our bylaws
to, you're
next month.
absolutely right, you have to clean them up
Okay.
to do this. This was this was next on the governance committee agenda, I think, last year when we paused, after we did all the compliance work. So,
Yeah, that's why everybody should read all that, because everything from 2008 has to just be reaffirmed, so we put a new date on it.
that's right.
Yeah, you,
I read it all, so,
Yeah,
but I gotta
myself.
ask everybody else to do it,
I don't,
Yep.
and then who's ever sitting here
like I
next
said, I've been
next
doing this
month,
for so long,
we just reaffirm
I
everything.
will talk you through everything, honey.
Or make changes.
Don't let anybody
Sounds good.
abuse you,
Yeah, I read
because then they'll have to deal with me,
read through it again.
okay?
Do it about 5 times.
Look for issues.
It looks like we're gonna be short a few people here. I'm surprised. I know there's one, Grant is out of state.
Shannon.
But I made sure Shannon knew the time and day, and you talked to,
He knows.
Andrew, are you taking minutes of the meetings? Are you taking minutes of the meetings? Okay.
yeah, she's gonna, yeah.
Yep.
Diane taught her well.
Right.
Yeah, when David gets back, we'll get started here.
I'm used to sitting over there. I'm not sure I can do this from here.
I would always ask where the camera is, right?
Yeah, one there, one there.
There's no escaping here, that's basically what you're saying.
Down the road.
Well, you and me are like that. I tried to sit over there for like 4 or 5 meetings, and they moved me
Should I
over.
hold that person if you think of?
Yeah, now he's,
I like where Mike is.
How
It's a
far
nice
out?
spot, but even he gets up to the podium.
Bet you we got 7 minutes.
now he's next to me, I gotta put up with him.
7 minutes.
That's right.
Say.
Guess we're starting.
Yeah, we have
We
four.
happen to be pretty
We got
close,
a
so.
quorum. Okay. Going to call it to order. And can you roll call, please?
Right.
You gotta do the Pledge of Allegiance
Yeah.
first.
Well, normally they do the roll call, didn't they?
All right.
Yeah.
Do you want me to just call everyone's name?
Yeah, basically it's like Grant, you put down he's absent.
Okay. All right, so Graham's absent.
Member.
Larry's here.
No, you just, you call out the name, we say here,
Okay.
and then we proceed.
Okay. So Bob Leary,
Here?
Shannon's not here, Kevin. you
Here.
And then Dave Reno.
Here.
Lynn Ruda.
Here.
Okay.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Normally, we start with placing members, but since we have one more person coming, I'd like to just hold off on selecting a chair, because this way he's got a voice in the process. So if you don't mind, we'll just I just want to go over while we're waiting for him, go over some of the, I guess, problems we have with our paperwork when it comes to looking at our
Where are we
LIDA
in the-
paperwork.
Where are we in the agenda?
We're gonna, the organizational meeting I'm just holding up for the moment, so Mr. Peterson can get here and then he can see the chair. But I was gonna bring this up anyways, no matter where I was. Our bylaws are not corresponding with some of the other documents that, I handed you some of the documents. Our governance committee charter does not match up with our bylaws. So next month, no matter who's running it, we're gonna have to align those two, because there's gotta be 10 days' notice, and there wasn't enough time to let everybody know. On page 6 of our bylaws, there's also a typo, which I believe we can just change that. It's the section 1, executive committee. It just said, in the absence of, shall consist of the chairman and treasurer, the CEO, and DCEO, and only in the absence of the CEO. And I believe that's supposed to be changed to chair, because if, it just, that doesn't make any sense. But I believe that's a typo, they can be just adjusted without any other problem. The other one is on page 7. I noticed that under section 2, special meetings, we actually listed the Lancaster Bee and the Buffalo News as our publications. Since we don't use the Buffalo News at all, and since you have papers that kind of go out of business, I wanted to change that to a signed publication designated by the LIDA at that time. So any that we choose in the future, if the Lancaster Bee should go under, we can give it to another paper without having to change our bylaws. Then another one on page 5, we have kind of a conflict of interest between the chair and the CEO, and I believe that was discussed with you. I think David discussed it with you, Mr. Leone. It's in here that chief executive officer may execute all agreements, contracts, deeds, and other instruments and documents on behalf. That line be omitted from the bylaw, and you would be able to sign, but it would be only if we have a passed resolution. In other words, the board would know about it before anything was signed. So if the chair didn't sign it, Mr. Leone, and we have a resolution, he's allowed to sign it. So that would clear up a conflict between the chair and the CEO. So that one there, you won't be appointed that today, because we've got to wait until we change our bylaw, and then next meeting we'll appoint you to that, if that's all right with you. And the last one is, we've been in conflict with our paperwork here, that our meetings are supposed to be the second Tuesday of every month at 8:45. So next month, we're going to have to have it on the second Tuesday, be February 14th at 8:45, and at that point in time, then the board can change the time and date for the balance of the year. So that would be, because that's another one of our bylaws that was never changed. So that's got to be corrected. I mean, we can put it back to the Friday, but that one meeting's got to be on February 14th at 8:45.
Do you want me to express an opinion from
Sure.
a legal perspective?
Sure.
So the provision you're referring to is Article 4, meetings, Section 1, annual meeting, right? Is that correct?
Let's see here.
That's where I see second Tuesday of
Yeah,
January.
Section 4, Section
So,
1.
so your annual meeting is actually today, right? This is the organizational meeting?
Right.
And what the board did in December by approving a meeting schedule was to notice this meeting, and this language here provides for that, or such other time as may be specified by the members of the agency. So we're actually in compliance with the bylaws. I agree that this should not be in here from the standpoint of the date, because it's not correct, but I don't think you have to meet on a Tuesday following month.
Okay.
You can, if you guys decide that that's when you want to meet, but you've approved a schedule from last, in December to set the time for this.
Okay. So that's that. And I guess basically we might as well go forward then with putting the board together, since I don't know where Mr. Peterson is.
He was at Transit and Walden when I spoke to him.
Yeah, well, I think we should just go ahead and do it. Yeah, we got 4, so it's however it goes. Okay, I'm going to have to ask that we have a nomination for chairman.
I'd like to nominate Kevin Lemaster as the chair.
I will second that motion, being as you're the deputy anyway.
Any other nominations? Okay, we vote on that? Is that, yeah?
Yeah, you have to.
Okay.
Vote on that.
Yeah, you have to vote.
So
Make a-
you're gonna have to, you can call each member by name and ask them how they voted, okay?
Okay, Bob,
Yes.
and Kevin,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Okay, vice chairman, I was going to appoint David for vice chair, if he would accept. Do I have a
I
second in
will
that?
second that.
Second. On the roll?
so Bob,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
David,
I need to vote here. Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Now, on the secretary, should that position, does that need to be filled again, since we have Andrea doing it?
That is a board position.
Okay. That one I wasn't figuring, so I'm going to, because I was thinking Andrea was our secretary, assistant secretary, I was going to put in as Donna, which was her backup in case we didn't have somebody.
Well,
Yeah,
let me
but
look
he's got to be board members, so.
So, Lynn, would you like to be the secretary again?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. No problem.
I'll second that.
No, she doesn't
Okay.
want it.
Oh, she doesn't?
She doesn't want it.
Oh, sorry.
So we'll leave that open for now, we'll table that. Okay, table the assistant secretary, we don't have to have. Okay, treasurer, I was going to appoint Kevin Peterson to it.
I'll nominate him or second that motion.
Oh, okay, he's
Yeah.
not here.
Okay.
Second. Okay, on the roll?
okay, Bob,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
And assistant treasurer, I was going to, Lynn, would you like that?
No, thank you.
No? Okay. So we don't need that filled either. We'll have to find just somebody else for the extra checking account for you, just in case.
Typically, last year was the chair and the CFO, so if you added the treasurer, Mr. Peterson, that would put 3, which would give.
Okay, all right, so I'm automatically on it then. Okay, I was going to try to, okay, good enough. Okay, we got a deputy, our CFO is Mike.
I'll second that.
Nomination for Mike to be CFO?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bob?
Yes.
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 Our Administrative Secretary and Records Management would be Andrea here. You get a second?
Second?
I'll nominate her. Andrea?
Bob?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Okay, Coordinator of Billing and Pilot is Donna. I got Donna Martin. Do I have a second?
I'll nominate Donna. Are you nominating at this point? or-
Yeah, we're nominating,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, I'll second it.
That's good.
All right, Bob?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
And we have Mr. Zanner as our General and Transitional Counsel.
I'll second that.
Okay, Bob?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
And our website administrator, Donna Martin, said, or no, I'm sorry, it's you. Andrea's going to take care of that also.
I'll second that.
So Bob?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Okay, the executive committee basically is myself and the treasurer, which would be Kevin P. The governance committee, we'll put 2 in right now, and then we'll change, or do you want
The
to
other
put
way.
3 in?
No, put 2 in because the
2 in
bylaws
now.
say 2, and then when we conform the bylaws, if that's the pleasure of the board, to go to 3.
Yeah,
That's been the
that's
practice.
Yeah, that's the only one that needed 3 from what I can read, was just the governance committee.
Was the one that was in.
Needed 3, wasn't in compliance, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll put 2 in for now. Myself and, I guess Shannon, I'll have to ask her if she wants to be part of that. And if, next meeting, if she doesn't, we can change it around. Okay,
Can you get a second on that?
yep, and please.
I'll second that.
Okay, so Bob?
I did serve on the governance committee and would be interested.
Pardon?
I said I did serve on the governance committee and did a lot of time on that committee, so I would be interested in that
Sure,
position.
we can put you on it instead.
So we're switching that?
We're gonna put Lynn on it.
Okay. So, all
And then we'll-
right, I'll make the nomination then for the chairman and for Lynn to be the one member so far of the governance committee.
I'll second that.
Okay, so Bob?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Okay, finance and audit is going to be the treasurer and 1 appointment, and I figured since Grant, when I talked to him, he was very interested because of the computer systems and that,
Yeah.
so I'd like to nominate him for that.
I'll second that.
Okay, so Bob?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Okay, I guess we can move on to our regular meeting. Want to approve the minutes from the December 9th meeting? Do I have a second?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Bob?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Okay, Mike, I guess your report?
Thank you, and thank you for the reappointment as Chief Financial Officer this evening and your confidence in me in that position. The report is provided to you this evening. It's showing at the end of last year, a balance in our checking account of $1,594,718.97. There was one pending voucher that you'll be addressing by resolution this evening for attorney services from the end of last year, so that was $3,665.50 for an adjusted balance of $1,591,053.47. An update on a few other items, the town and county pilots. As you know, those who served last year, we had the spreadsheet all ready to go and calculated. We were just waiting for the tax rates. I worked the tax office, the town clerk's office assisted in getting those tax rates to me this week when the taxes were received. And I've been working with Andrea and Donna. We actually updated the spreadsheet. They were able to figure out the mail merge process, get the bills printed, and it's my understanding they're already folded and out in the mail. And with those pilot bills, I had coordinated with the auditors at the end of last year to have the annual surveys that each property must complete, so that data regarding jobs and things like that are included in the parish report, which must be filed by the end of March. So those were ready, and they also included those with the pilot bill, so when they receive the bills, they'll already have those surveys that they can start filling out. 1099 forms, now that we're at the end of the year, you know, any services over $600 that receive payments during the year need to receive those 1099 tax filing notices, so those will be, take care of those by the end of this month and get those filed with the IRS as appropriate. Banking, now that we have new appointments with the chair and and you want to add the treasurer as a signer, I'll get those signatures forms updated. So there could be a small delay in issuing checks. I mean, right now we only have the one invoice to process, but I'll get that done. When I have those forms, I'll notify you that I need you to come in and sign, and we'll get that taken care of. I'll also be working with the bank representative. Now with interest rates increased quite a bit last year, and now they're kind of stabilizing. This is a good point to look at CDs to help with the interest rate, so I'll be coordinating that with the bank as authorized in my position. And then one last thing regarding with the reappointment this evening, I just wanted to confirm if the compensation was staying the same as last year, as $750 per month, or I do know in the approved budget it was approved at a rate of $825 per month, so I was just asking if you wanted it to remain the same or if you would consider that small increase.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up under new business. We were going to
Okay.
go through on all the.
That would be fine. If you're going to address it then, that's fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, are there any questions for me?
I do have a question. Are you all set now? Are we going to need anybody else assisting you as this year goes on, or are you pretty much set?
No,
Staff
I mean,
have
and
it.
that's a good point. Last year, the IDA did have to outsource and bring in an outside consultant and pay that person to help with, you know, the town and county pilots were behind last year, so you had to pay that person to come in and do that. That's already done.
Excellent.
And there were other things that he helped me with throughout the year in my first year with that learning curve, but now I've been through the process. I'm comfortable that you shouldn't need or very rarely need to outsource that. So you had paid over $6,000 to that consultant last year, and I don't expect that you will need that, or you would very likely need that little compared to that.
Very good, thank you.
Okay?
Yeah,
You're welcome.
I did talk to Diane and Andrea and Donna, they said that if you had questions or whatever got stuck, Donna might be able to help you with that before we go outside.
Great, yeah, and I think we worked well together this week in getting the pilot bills out. so
Okay,
that's
super.
great.
Glad to hear
And
that.
Mike, before you go, I was going to mention that. Thanks for working so clean together with each other, getting it going. You've always been thorough, complete. Your numbers are always there for us, Mike. Thanks for coming back. We appreciate it.
I appreciate that, thank you.
And I'd like to welcome Mr. Peterson here. Welcome aboard.
Nobody's getting into this building yet.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, sorry about that.
So then you would just need a resolution to accept the report.
okay.
Make a resolution. Oh, you got it.
Yep. Do I need somebody to accept the report?
Motion to approve is presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, so Bob,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Yeah, should probably just abstain because I didn't catch but the tail end of that.
Financial report.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah, it's just a financial report. Okay, just so you're aware, and if you accept it, if you want, I put you on to be the treasurer.
Okay,
So
all right.
he'll have forms that later on he'll have to get you to sign, and
Sure.
between the three of us, we'll take care of that. Speaking of that, I guess we can, if you want, we can move on to get the financials out of the way for them, and then we'll continue on with the balance of the meeting. Now, the attorney fees and that, I believe, that's set until May, wasn't it, if I read it correctly?
Yes.
Nothing changes till May?
Nothing changes on the fee, and then it's just a 3%
Okay. Yeah, that would be after May, so.
after May 1st.
Right,
correct.
okay, so that one we don't have to worry about too much. Mike's got control of that. That one that's done. Okay, the chief executive officer, that one we're going to postpone and table that until we get the bylaws changed. The chief financial officer, okay, now Mike just mentioned he'd like to get, if he could, $825 a month rather than $750 a month.
And that's what was in the budget, correct?
That's what he budgeted, yes. And that's, is the board approved the pay increase?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, Bob,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Okay, then our secretary and management officer, which is Andrea here, that was set, I believe, budgeted for $7,500. They're correct. She's been such a help in getting this up and running and helping us with this. I'd like, just for this year, if I could, raise that to $8,000. And it'll be one shot. Next year, it can go back to 75, but give her
I'll
an 8,000.
make the motion for 8,000.
8,000. Okay, thank you. Seconded?
I'll second
okay, Bob,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Yes.
David,
it. Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Okay, this has no compensation to it at all, but as a website administrator, it would be Andrea again. I have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve Andrea as the website administrator?
Did we already do that?
The website was separate. She's the assistant,
She agreed, but we didn't vote on it.
she's the secretary of, and records management is the one where she's compensated. The website administrator was always separate at no
But didn't
I
we
thought we
do
did
that earlier in the meeting?
Yeah, I think we did it.
We did.
Did we put it in there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're reaffirming it then. Okay, then we got for Donna Martin, to have her, the pilot billing coordinator. Again, once again, she stepped up to the plate, and that one normally paid $2,500. I'd like to give her, make it $3,000 for this year only.
I'll make the motion for 3,000.
I'll second that.
Yes.
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 Okay, authorize the agreement with Paul Leone. Your compensation was $2,500 a month. Is that the same, Paul, or is that?
Same.
Same? Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yes.
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 Now, I believe the dresser, the audit, that really has to be set aside and tabled also, because we don't actually have a financial figure from them for what it would cost us, do we?
They had provided an engagement letter. I know that it was forwarded to the previous, I don't know if it was the entire board or just the chair and the former secretary, but I would have a copy that I'd be able to forward to you.
Do you remember the numbers? Did they increase drastically,
I don't-
or do you think we should?
I don't believe they were a drastic increase. They might have stayed the same or pretty close.
Okay, why don't we table this, and just to make sure, so we get the actual number, and then we can vote on it next month?
Yeah,
Is
I'll
that-
be
this- this-
forwarded to Andrea so that she can make sure it's on the agenda.
Okay. and-
You need a motion to table?
Second.
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the resolution to pay bills under 3,000 without approval from the LADA board. Do we have a motion? Second?
Make a motion.
Is that the standard that it's been?
It's been 3,000 right along.
Okay.
Anything under 3,000, he can just write a check for it.
Okay, yes, I'll second it. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
This is just reaffirming that the chair, vice chair, or other officer, in the absence of the CEO, can call for public hearings, applications, and submitted.
Motion to approve?
Second. Yes.
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 And last but not least, we have the authorization to reimburse the general fund of the town of Lancaster. I believe the amount was $30,000.
And the CEO did, Kevin? He did. Oh, I didn't hear that.
What's that?
The CEO, did you appoint a CEO?
The CEO, that we got to modify the,
I'm the CEO right now.
Yes.
right.
Okay.
But you're, at the appointment right now, we're tabling it till next meeting because we've got to change the bylaws. That's one of them, the bylaw that's the one where it
Oh,
was
you mean in terms of
conflict.
his authority?
Right. Because you had a conflict between the chair and the CEO without the board knowing it.
Under the question. What's the difference, now that I consider this, are you going to, when we're intent about changing that rule, because I think that's a good rule to change, what is the difference between appointing him right now, we're going to pay him, officially he's going to keep that job, as far as I know. Why should...
There is no payment for the CEO.
No, the CEO's not,
No, but
that's
I mean, you're
not.
going to keep the position. I mean,
Well, I just want the bylaws to be in place
Kevin,
properly.
how do we stand on that?
So what Kevin is, I'm reading through the bylaws now. The position of board chairman states that, except as otherwise authorized or directed by resolution of the agency, the board chair shall sign all agreements, contracts, and deeds. There's the same language for the CEO. So really, it's co-ability to sign, but there's a conflict. Who should sign, right, is the question.
Well, that-
I
What
don't,
the order, what the order should be.
Well, right,
Whether
and
the
so-
board should see it first before he could sign it.
yeah, that's right. So what I think the issue is that they both have the ability to sign unless you say otherwise, right? And I think what the board was talking about earlier with the change is that Paul would be authorized to sign stuff only if a resolution of this board said so. And,
On each,
Well, even-
excuse me, but
even like myself.
on each
Project.
process we go through, so that he has the ability to sign once we know that the project is in place.
that-
It's like a notification before he signs off on anything, that the board knows what he's looking at. Basically.
I don't know if I'm
In other
following.
words,
Let me-
do we direct our consultant at times, or does our consultant direct us? And I don't mean that to make a split.
Right.
That's the question. Do we
No.
say to our consultant, don't bother with this, don't even send it on to the legal department, move on?
Yeah,
the-
that's purely a business issue for the board as to how you want to manage, how you guys talk to folks in the community about benefits and how you process that. The question of Paul's signature authority is one that's set forth in the bylaws, right? So, and I can tell you as a matter of course, when we draft resolutions for you guys, I'm talking about my firm and myself, it will have an authorizing provision in there that will identify who can sign on behalf of the organization. It would include officers, including Paul, and the board chair, the vice chair, and maybe the treasurer, I think is how we usually do that. So there is that, but you guys approve those resolutions beforehand, right? So if you're reading them, you will see that, oh yeah, we authorized Paul to go and sign and close a deal. I'm not sure what Paul is signing in terms of contracts in everyday situations. I would suspect he's not signing anything. unless he has board approval. So, it may be, I agree that I think there's a technical conflict in the language that we can clean up very easily as part of the other changes of the bylaws, Kevin. I don't know that it prohibits you from appointing Paul as a CEO tonight.
Oh, okay.
That's
No,
all.
I got no problem doing that.
Because again, he's not going to go and sign anything. If you want to make the motion with the idea that the bylaws are going to be changed, as was suggested earlier in the meeting, you can do that, as part of the approval. And I think it gets you to the place that you want it to be. To finish the response to David's question, which is a really good question, is how do you manage projects? That's something you have to talk with Paul about. Who should he be bringing in when he's talking to folks? Because his interface right now, and as is mine in a lot of ways, is once a month. So if there's a second who should, hey, I'm going to go visit with someone, is that the arrangement you guys want to have? Right? I don't know that. I'm not sure I don't get into that kind of detail. Paul does talk to me when he thinks he's got something that's got an application. And then when I see an application, that's when I'm kind of getting involved. But I don't, before that, there's always, it's coffee, right? Having a coffee with someone. So if the board or a board member wants to be involved with that, you have to, that's something I think that's more operational than it is, anything else.
I think the bylaw change that you're talking about allows us to address that, but I don't see any reason not to move forward with putting our CEO back in place.
Okay.
And as far as going out and talking to people, if I could speak for a minute, or...
Can I give you back a little bit of procedure? In other words, I'll go out and meet with a company. And then what'll happen is I don't issue an application until I know that after I've talked to Kevin, that it's a legal contract that we can do, or an IDA that we can do with this company. So then Kevin and I sit down and we discuss, Paul, okay, it's okay to give them an application. And once we get the application, I then turn that application over to Kevin. And Kevin determines all the questions and answers, if they're all legally done and so on and so forth. But then what we do is, after that application is done, we then bring it to the board for discussion only, so that you, as a board, know what's going on. And we don't do any action on that project until the following month, so that the board knows exactly where Kevin and I are coming from, that it's a legal obligation of an IDA company that could be eligible for our IDA benefits. That's exactly what happens.
Okay, there's too many Kevins in here for me.
I agree.
So,
Go ahead.
I think what we're talking about is, I think the board needs to know what's going on.
Right.
If you guys are out there talking to somebody. I think there has to be some other type of system so that every board member in here can take a look at what's being looked at. Before we step into something that the board may not want to step into.
Okay, you're going to see that application and everything before we take any action.
You're talking earlier, Bob.
I'm talking earlier. I'm talking about possibly putting, something up on a website, the application goes there, or once we have a computer system, we get the applications immediately, so every single board member can take a look at it and have some input before you proceed with anything. That's what I'd like to see.
If I may, I think maybe the board's concern is the clock starts, Paul, as soon as you talk to Kevin about, hey, here's something we got going. So it does get started.
That's what I'm saying, David.
Before we're ever knowing where our consultant is headed, the clock gets started as far as billing, okay? So whether we turn it down or take it, we're going to spend money once you turn it over to Kevin. I think the concern of the board is, can we see it before you turn it over to him? Okay, so I guess you and this Kevin, who is sitting chair on our board, probably needs to be on the phone a little bit more than the last board was, or the boards prior. And I think that would satisfy everybody's concern.
No, I think we kind of got off topic. I have no problem putting him as CEO. We're good with the condition, and like I said, I'm not taking power away. I just want to make sure that the way it's written, clean it up, or however you want to do it, so that the authorization is through resolution only. I mean, it's not just, and then everybody is aware of it long before it happens. And as far as what you're getting at, Dave, yeah, that's something I threw at him too, going back, was if we have a little more information before it goes to you and the full application's out, it might be something that the board members look at and go, nah, I don't know, is that something we want to investigate a little bit more before we get legal involved, you know? And then you can pick it apart the way you would once it gets to that point,
It's music to my ears.
so.
Good time. Like we spend time working on projects, and it is really the board's decision to move forward with things, and you guys are setting policy for what you want to see in development. That's not a decision your lawyer makes. That's not a decision I want to be involved with, right? I will view something, and I will tell you if you ask me whether something qualifies as eligible under the IDA Act for inducement. But that's it. Like, I mean, the policies and planning and things like that, and where things should go and what you should be inducing, that's a board decision. And some things you can't. I mean, and I'll help you with those parameters. But that's not my role. Like, I'm not an assistant executive director, right? Like, I don't. And I think one of the challenges we've had with some of the applicants is you're teaching them along the way. And if we know that David doesn't like a project, right, and wants to talk with the group beforehand, or you guys just decide we don't want to move forward with something, you're saving everybody time. I don't disagree with that. We don't, as a matter of course, charge for that stuff. Like, most of the time, we're not charging for that, David. Like, because we're supposed to, when you get through the project, we get paid by the company. So you're not saving anything from that standpoint. What my role in those situations should really be is just, hey, does this fit? Can we do it, right? And then I would look at the application and say, this is actually checking all the boxes. We spent a lot of time last year cleaning up the application, and it's a good application. It's big, but it hits all the buttons that are supposed to be hit. So I'm happy to work however you want to do that. Paul's a great communicator. So if it's Kevin that is the first contact and all that stuff, and it never comes to me, that's okay. Like, that's between you guys, and I'll step in when I need to, or when you ask me to, frankly.
But the only time I take it to Kevin is for the legal questions.
Right.
Not for anything else.
And I think what the board is saying, Paul, is that that before you even get to me to ask the legal question, you're just taking a pulse, a temperature.
Just to get, I mean, you come forward, you've got good information.
But I won't have I don't issue an application. You won't see an application. All you'll do is me telling you about a project that we're going to be doing. And that's a verbal thing. But as far as an application goes, I don't issue an application till Kevin tells me, Paul, this is a good project legally. So then I issue an application. And then you're going to see the application before you approve it anyhow. But on a verbal, I don't have any problem with telling you whatever company I'm working with now. And we do that now because under new business, I always tell you the companies that I'm working with now anyhow.
Yeah.
So I do that now.
It's not a question at all of how you've worked along the way. It just gives us that another safety net, an option.
But I do that now. But David, I do that now.
Well, we do, but we're done. And again, my concern wasn't solely about the money, but it's like the board, if we don't want to get down the line legally in a project, just what Kevin said.
But he's not charging.
Work off his back.
He's not charging you anything.
Exactly, but it's work off of his back. Yeah. And it doesn't take him out of the loop. All it does is put the chair in the loop with you, Paul, a little bit more. Because a verbal notification is basically all you're looking for.
But we do,
And then the
but we
chair-
do that now.
I mean, so
The
everybody
chair will
knows what's
be-
coming down the pike, maybe a little more information.
Yeah, but we do that now.
Yeah, well, no, like I said, I'm not.
Okay.
We get the name of the company and that, but sometimes we don't have enough depth to it, and I kind of, okay, this company's talking to us, but how many people, that type of thing, a little more information.
But you get that when you get the applications.
Yeah, well, this is just it. On some of this, though, if you're looking at what they want to do, it might be something rather than having.
But that's all in the application.
Okay.
And you get that application before you do your approval. You've got another 30 days to look at that. So in other words, if I brought you an application today, after Kevin told me, okay, go ahead and give him the application, then I get the application. I give that copies to you, to the board. And the board reacts to that application to the next board meeting.
Right.
But we'd like it before that, it's basically what
Well,
we're
it
saying here.
it
So
can work, it
notification
can work,
goes to the chair.
it can work.
That
let us
verbal
know.
notification part, I think we're gonna tighten up our communications all around.
Yeah,
And everything
that's
is
part of it.
is working smooth. I like to make a motion that we appoint Paul our CEO. now.
Second, yeah, okay, with the
Okay.
provision, we're gonna make sure that we
Sure.
just put in
Clean
that.
it to bind.
I don't have any problem doing what you're doing, what you're asking for,
Wait,
Bob.
just to clarify, there's a motion and a second with a provision that I don't understand.
We're gonna,
There can't be a
make him the
provision. There can't be
CEO,
a-
but there's gonna be
It's putting a provision on your motion.
he's gonna put in, and we're gonna clean up at our next meeting, our bylaws for, that it's gotta be.
Understood, okay.
It's
So
gotta, we
that's-
gotta have a resolution before anybody can sign off.
So the provision is for the bylaws, not for the conversation we just had?
No, just for the bylaws.
Understood.
The other stuff is just conversation. Do I have a motion to accept the CEO?
David made the motion.
David
I think
made
we're
the
looking for a
motion?
second.
Second,
Second?
Yes.
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 Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what you're saying to me now, okay, just so that I clarify this, okay? When I go out to a company, all right, and I mention to them all the benefits and do whatever we do, and sometimes it takes like 60 to 90 days. So before I issue an application or talk to Kevin, you want to hear about it.
Well, it's, yeah, just a basic,
Okay, no, that's
to maybe
okay.
maybe get a little more information on it, just so this way I've kind of got an idea what.
I don't have a problem doing that at all. Kevin, I have no problem doing that
I'd
at
like
all.
to talk to you a lot more, believe me.
No,
It's just so
that's not a problem
We're on the same
whatsoever.
page.
And just to clarify that point, that our chairperson won't be able to speak on behalf of the entire board and stop a process, correct?
It won't actually be formal, a part of the process, but just if anybody has a question on a project, I'm going to be informed. In case you can't get a hold of Paul, you can contact me, and I might have the information you need.
Question.
And-
And you're going to let us know whatever he sends you, basically.
But
So
Bob,
we- we're-
sometimes what happens, just so that you know, I sometimes contact a board member because sometimes the company will say, oh, I know Bob Leary, okay? And what I'll do is I'll pick up the phone and call you and say, I'm going out on XYZ company, and I'll take you with me. And then you can present it to the board like we went out in this meeting without issuing anything with Kevin or anything else. Sometimes I do that also.
Okay.
So you're more than welcome to come with me, if you would.
And if this was an actual scenario, I would let the board know beforehand.
Exactly right.
I've been asked to go out there and what it was all about.
Exactly right, so.
Okay. No,
Yep,
it sounds good.
Yeah, that's no problem with me at all.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm doing that now, okay? But you know who used to do that to me? He did not look at, Rufino would always want to come with me, because he was the chairman of the board. He would always.
I don't think we want to get into,
No, I'm just saying, what I'm saying to you, he would want to come with me, Bob.
And mine's
Okay.
basically if it's something
I
you
thought you were going to say
think that
something bad.
maybe,
I didn't want to go to, okay.
with, like, anybody in the board want to go with you, that's fine. And it's just basically if you have a project that might not be on paper, it might be a little confusing, whatever. If one of the board members goes there, look at it, might be able to come back and clean it up, give a little more insight from a different direction.
That's no problem at all.
I
Especially if it's in
appreciate it. Thank you.
The village of Lancaster or the village of Depew, the
Yeah.
person going out on that trip should be the mayor from either village. So, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, we have to pay the town, authorize reimbursement to the general fund of the town of Lancaster for secretarial pilot billing and co-administrator. Do I have a motion to accept? Well,
that-
the money amount last year was 30,000. 30,000. Yeah, so I believe it's going to stay the same.
Motion to approve?
Second? Yes.
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 And the last one is to make the Lancaster B the official industrial agency paper.
Motion to approve?
Seconded.
Yes.
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 And I believe that takes care of all that. We can go back to our regular meeting now that everybody's...
just for everybody's information, UTEP, okay, you see that? Sometimes governmental agencies like to use initials, but what that actually means, the uniform tax exempt policy, okay, which every IDA in Western New York, not Niagara Falls, or not Chautauqua or Cattaraugus, have agreed to, so we're all under what they call the UTEP. It's the Uniform Tax Exempt Policy, which we all have signed on, and we're all in agreement with it. Every IDA in Erie County.
Yeah, that's one of the things maybe you heard. What I want to do next meeting is ask everybody to go through and read the different, things up there as far as our documentation, make sure they understand it, and next time I'd just like to go through and reaffirm,
Yeah.
you know, the sexual harassment that it was read, and it was in 2008 that the last time it was, when we just reaffirm it to today's date that everybody,
Yeah,
and we'll try to go through and vote on that.
One of the things that happened in that uniform thing, we had a 7 and a 10-year pilot. Now we have a 5, a 7, and a 10-year pilot. That's in the UTEP.
Yeah. I seen the one that came through from Erie County.
Yep, you're
That's
right.
another one next month. I want to turn around and look at our.
But I'm letting the new members know that's exactly what uniform tax exempt policy means.
Super.
Thank you.
Okay, new business. Is that where, yeah, that's where we left off. We approved all that. On the old business, we have Lucas James on Broadway. Now, that was, they wanted us to set a public hearing for it. It's been set aside yet. I gave you and Bob, because you didn't see the diagrams on that, of where it's going to be and what it's involved. Like I've said before, I think 2 previous meetings, this project, I don't see it benefiting the town at all.
This is what, Bowen Road and,
It's Broadway and Bowen, yeah. They want to put up a multi-use apartments with, down below. My concern is you have other businesses in the area that conduct the same type of project, or offer the same thing. It's not a depressed area. I don't see any advantage to the town in supplementing this. It can be built. The town, I believe, approved everything on it, so it can be built without our assistance. And like I said, my big concern is this is a project that I don't see any benefit to the town at all. It's going to hurt the businesses around it, and that's my opinion.
Now, this is an application that we've had, and you have reviewed it. The 2 new board members have not reviewed it.
Right.
But I'm gonna beg the question to Kevin, because Kevin has been involved with the attorney and with the company for the last, we're both getting all kinds of phone calls, whether or not, whatever it is. But let Kevin explain to you what the project is, but the application is here, so I'll beg the question.
Can I jump in there for a second?
Sure, go ahead, Bob.
I'm very familiar with this project.
Okay.
I was part of the town board that approved the project. And again, with the understanding is, as it is with all the projects that come through, that the funding has already been obtained and isn't an issue. I guess we're going to have to ask a few more questions before we approve these projects. Because my understanding was, there was no intent to, or we weren't notified that the person couldn't do it because they didn't have the money unless they got an IDA, something from the IDA. So again, the town of Lancaster is good with the project. We looked at it. We changed the zoning for them, but, again, we assumed that they had the money to do this, and the chair is absolutely correct. In that area, there's other apartments, there's other retail businesses. It's kind of surprising to hear that, I believe in the application, it says they can't proceed without getting something from the IDA. That really wasn't presented to us. Again, maybe we do have to change our policy a little bit over there. But again, I personally spoke to Mr. Lucas several times. I personally spearheaded him getting the rezoning so that he could put this project up there. I agree with Kevin. I don't think there should be anything from the IDA. I think it should be self-funded or however he obtains his funding. Thank you.
I think that we've seen that parcel sit vacant for a very long time. It's an important corner in the town of Lancaster, and I would like to at least see it go to a public hearing.
Any comments?
I agree with Lynn.
Well, we make a motion for a public hearing, and we'll set a date.
There's one question.
Sure.
So I just quickly looked at this paper. So did this paper, Bob, come to the town board? Did this write up here?
No,
Never
that
did.
was only to us. at
No,
the
that-
IDA.
So there was
That's why
no
we don't have-
communication that said that they needed LIDA assistance?
No, they put in an application to Lida at one point, that then they pulled it out. They were going to put a motel there.
Right.
And the town did not approve them to put a motel there.
Correct.
We worked with them on rezoning the project so they could put apartments in there and some retail stores. Again, the town was never notified, we can't do this, we don't have the money unless we get something from the IDA, and it was approved as apartments and the retail stores. So that's the project that was approved, under the assumption that they already had the money to do that, basically.
And Kevin, just to give you a little bit, I mean, they've come to us, this has been months that they're waiting to hear back from Lida, so I feel like we at least owe them the opportunity for that public hearing to hear the project out, ask the questions, we have new board members.
I just wonder, how true is that statement then?
Like I said, I'm looking at it from outside the box as far as, you've got apartment buildings, those guys built them, they're there, they're operating. You've got 2 gas stations there, they want to put a drive-through, sell coffee, whatever. So you've got 2 gas stations that sell the same type of product, and that's where they make their money, and that's where, you got restaurants in the area. But if you want to take it to a public hearing, or want to vote on it, we'll take a vote.
Yeah, but just keep in mind now, it's only a public hearing.
No, I know.
This is not approval from the board.
No, I realize
It's
that.
only a public hearing, and then after you do the public hearing, you then convene your board meeting, and then the board votes on whether or not this is an eligible project.
No,
Okay.
no, I understand.
I want, but I'm in agreement with Bob. If they made that statement at the town board, then I have a question on that, because they did not refer that to us that way. Am I right, Kevin?
What statement are you referring to?
The fact that they had all the funding in place and that they didn't
No, I
need
said
the
they didn't
IDA.
tell us that they didn't have the funding in place for that. There's an assumption when you're coming forward and asking for a project that you have the monies to pay for it.
Okay.
We'd have to go back and look at the actual minutes of the planning board to see what statements they made.
Okay.
But again, we helped them change it from motels, which did not get approved, it got turned down by the board, to change it over to apartments. We moved to rezone the area so that they could put up the apartments and the retail stores there.
Sure.
Under the assumption that they had the funding to go ahead and get this done.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not denying them to build what they
No,
want to
no,
build.
no.
I'm just saying, in my position is, why are we giving them an advantage over businesses that are existing? But if you want, do you want to set a public meeting?
Are we going to be keeping our Friday time?
At this point in time,
Unless
we're
you
gonna-
change it, you said it.
I know that Friday was when Dino was available, so I don't know if this board has a preference. I have restraints through, morning until about 3 o'clock, but I just didn't know if we were keeping Fridays.
Well, probably Fridays, I would highly recommend get away from it because too many holidays fall on Fridays. So Tuesdays or Wednesdays would probably be better if you're gonna do anything.
Because if we set the public hearing, we'd be aligning it with the board meeting, correct?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
So you're in 2 different issues right now.
Yes.
Yeah, because we're kind of,
You're changing the date, you're changing the board meeting also at the same time?
well, this is what we're saying. Right now, it's on a Friday. That's what's posted, so we probably should, I guess, next meeting should be on that Friday then, at 4, or actually, yeah.
The public hearing usually is like 3:30,
Yeah.
and then you convene your board meeting at 4.
So we're gonna have to change what's up on the website to say 3:30, a public hearing. What was the last date?
That's the notice that Kevin will prepare, and that Andrea is going to have to send that to the penny saver.
Okay, so that's gonna be at
But
3:30?
Kevin will have to prepare the public hearing, but I guess what we're asking for is, do you want to authorize a public hearing
Yes.
today?
Well, that's what, first let's
The
get a
motion was
date.
made and seconded.
So that
we have
motion
vote.
would be for a public hearing at 3:30 on Friday, February 10th, preceding our board meeting.
Was it February what?
Yeah, the 10th would be the one, I believe that's what was up on the website too.
Correct.
Is that the date, is that a Friday too? Lynn?
Yeah,
That
that's
is
going
our
to be a
next
Friday. Yeah, and that's something we should bring up then at the next, we'll look at that then to address what day we want to put it on, because Fridays definitely is not a good day because you run into too many holiday weekends. I think there was already 3 of them that were days that we would have to move them anyways because the building isn't going to be open. So we'll have to address that next meeting.
All right, I'll second that motion.
Bob, what we'll do is on that February the 10th meeting at 3:30, we will have Lucas James here and their attorneys here so that you can question them right away, right, in the public hearing.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay,
Of
no.
course, I will,
And no, I would want you to, because that's how we operate.
yeah.
So they'll be here for the public hearing, and then you can convene your board meeting after. But they'll be here. I'll request that they be here.
Whatever the normal procedure is.
That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah. We do the same thing in the town board, so,
Yep.
great.
Okay, so we're going to, public hearing on February 10th at 3:30 for Lucas James.
Now, do we have time to get it into the penny saver for the February 10th? We need 10
Yeah,
days,
yeah,
right?
yeah, you only need, I think,
So
7 days.
Kevin has to prepare the public hearing and give it to
finish the
Andrea.
vote.
We
get
need
it
to
into
vote
the-
on
Yeah.
Do you have a motion and a second on the table?
Yep.
Yep,
Is there a vote?
Motion of,
there's a
Accept.
motion and a second.
Okay, Bob,
You guys want it? Yes.
yes.
Kevin,
Yes,
David,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Okay, the adjuster, this was put in, I found out today, I'll let Kevin explain it real quick, about the bonds. It was something that was brought up at a previous meeting.
Yeah, so the board members from last year's board will recall that the IRS was auditing one of our former bond projects, sealing devices, and the board authorized the retention of Hodgson Russ, who were bond counsel on that transaction. This goes back to, I think, 2016. And Hodgson Russ has been in discussions with the IRS. I got a report from counsel that the audit has been going well. The IRS will be doing a site visit at the company's location sometime in February. Apparently that is a common practice now for these type of site visits. But the report's favorable. It looks like there hasn't been any red flags raised, so that is the update from that standpoint. And I've also asked council to communicate directly with Kevin, who volunteered at the last meeting to be the contact on the board for this matter. So he'll probably be hearing directly from Marla Weiss going forward.
Okay, super, thank you. Any other comments?
I had just one piece of unfinished business, that in the December meeting, the feasibility study was approved. In terms of a process moving forward, a committee needs to be set, and we had talked about in December representatives from the Village of Depew, Town of Lancaster, Village of Lancaster, and Lida. In speaking with David Versal, he recommended somewhere between 9 and 12 members of that committee. He recommended thinking about having business owners, having your planning, anyone involved with planning. You might want someone who is involved with like events or coordination of events that happen in the community, and of course representatives from the municipality. So I just wanted opinions of how you think would move forward. He also asked about potentially having a kickoff meeting in March.
Yeah, I was going to question this on the side. I wasn't going to bring it up at the meeting, but on this, has there contracts or anything been signed?
So we approved to provide a feasibility study for a cost not to exceed $74,480. I had that question for you, Kevin, because in speaking with David, he said in the proposal there was a signature page, but I guess that comes into, did Dino sign it? Was it a CEO signature? Did that fall through the cracks in that time? Or who now, if it wasn't signed, how would that work?
Anybody who has signature authority can sign on to that proposal, so the chair would sign it, or,
Okay.
yeah, sure.
See, and
Yeah, you don't need
I
to-
myself won't sign it because I voted no on it. I disagreed with it. So I recommend the board take another look at it. It was voted on. I asked to see if there was a contract in place before the end of last year. No contract was submitted to our secretary. And I think we've got an impasse here as far as, I'm not legal, but I'm not about to sign the contract myself. So you're going to have to discuss it with somebody, another member, because it's $74,000 as far as I'm concerned, I said it before, is a waste.
Which project is this, Kevin? I'm sorry. I didn't
This
hear.
is the feasibility study.
The feasibility study we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's companies here in New York State that can do that for a lot less money rather than bringing somebody in from Massachusetts. So I don't know how to handle it.
Well, the implant study that we're talking about is used by all the other IDAs, so.
No, it's not that
Oh, it's not the implant
No.
study?
No,
Okay,
it's different
I'm
study.
sorry.
No, this is something over and above that. This
Okay.
Does the
this would be a
chair,
study they want
Kevin,
us to look at all the areas between the two villages and the town to,
so in the future, if votes go against the chairperson's vote, will he have the authority to not sign on the will of the board?
I'm looking for actually the minutes from the last meeting to see how the board approved.
Motion, it says an RFP to obtain a feasibility study with the goal of understanding where Lida can make the most impact regarding the potential for growth and development within the region, town and village of Lancaster and village of Depew, with only one submission from Consult Econ, Inc. of Massachusetts being received, discussed in detail during the work session. Motion to accept proposal for Consult Econ, Inc. to provide a feasibility study for a cost not to exceed $74,480 was made by Member Ruda, seconded by Member Reno, and result in the following vote. Member Gazzoni, yes. Member Lee Master, no. Member McNichol excused. Member Reno, yes. Member Ruda, yes. Member Tadaro excused, and Chair Fadoli, yes.
And it sounds as though the board voted on it, Kevin. I mean, the board passed that, and
and why was
we
why
passed
didn't
it,
Dino sign
well, we had a discussion, as I recall, on the entire plan, and we relented a little bit. We had a discussion, and we said we'll do the first half of that, and the cost was part of the condition to it, I think. That was the conversation we had at the board meeting. But I think as a board, we have already voted on it. I don't think, it's not a reflection on your vote at all. It's
Well,
what the chair has to, do in place.
Well, okay, there's two issues here. A, did you just vote on the first half at 24,000 or for the whole thing at 74,000? It seems like there's a money discrepancy. She's saying 74,000, you're saying 24,000.
What you're referring to is we had talked about that split with the AIDA, which did not pass through.
The second half.
The second motion that was put through at that last meeting was the proposal from the Amherst IDA, and there were two pieces to that.
Yes.
That was what did not go through. That was a two-part. This was just a, yes, we're moving forward, or no, we're not.
Well, regardless, if that vote is a yes vote by the board, I think we're,
Then Dino should have signed it before he left.
well, that's a question for the legal. And
I think the act of signing an agreement on behalf of a board is a ministerial act.
All right, I'll do it. That's what you want to do. I'll sign it. You get it to me, and I'll make sure I get it signed. I just wish we would have had the contract in front of us, and it could have been done when Dino was sitting here.
The contract with Kevin? Oh, okay.
Okay, well, you can keep that if you want to see what it's about. I think we do have extra copies I can get from the office upstairs. I'll show you what the book is, and maybe there should be another one upstairs. Okay, motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair,
I'm sorry.
can I ask a question of the board? I had a phone call from a company in Lancaster called Seibel Modern Manufacturing, SEIBEL, Todd Davis, who's the CFO. I was very concerned because does anybody know this company? Because they were talking about moving into the Lovejoy area of the city of Buffalo. And what I'm going to go after is try to keep them in Lancaster. Does anybody know this company at all?
Seibel Welding? Yeah.
No, it's Seibel Modern Manufacturing.
they've been around forever.
They're on Palmer.
Well, and the CFO was a guy by the name of Todd Davis, and I've got to call him back because he was talking about moving into the Lovejoy section of Buffalo. So I'm going to try to stop that
Paul.
if I can offer him, or maybe look what he's doing.
My
Go ahead.
understanding is he's outgrown his site on Palmer. It's very difficult for his business to function the way that the trucks come in, and he's grown so much that he's not fitting well into the site. Matt Ficcione had brought it up to the village at some point, if there's any opportunity to look at any town spaces that he might, we'd like to keep him.
Is he landlocked like where he is now?
Yes.
Where is he?
He's on
Right
Palmer.
down the street, it's a dead-end
So
street.
he's landlocked?
Yes.
Yeah, and the
He's
way,
landlocked because the parking lot of the church is his way for trucks to get in and out.
Okay, so-
John Lutheran parking lot is the end of.
So I can't offer him the present site. What I gotta do is go after him with other sites.
a new,
in my
it would have to be
Okay.
a new site, because the tractor trailers have to back down the street. There's no
Yes.
way to turn around. And
I'm just letting, see, this is something I let the board know, that I'm gonna be calling this company and set up something with this company, just to see what's going on.
very good.
And then, Bob, that's what I will bring to you all the time from now on in. And that's a good suggestion.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Can I say one thing? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to bring up, there was one item on the agenda, because you did the resolution earlier, that invoices above 3,000 needed board approval to pay. And we did have an outstanding invoice on the agenda for legal services from Herbert Spine from November, that we need your approval in order for me to.
Very good catch, thank you. Yes, okay, we make a motion to accept that and have him cut a check for that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I think I wasn't here at the time.
It's in the board packet.
It's
Breaks
it's
down.
an invoice that he'd already provided the services to the IDA.
Okay, based on that information, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you for the catch.
And on behalf of the Lancaster Town Board, I just want to thank everybody for their service last year on the board, for our new person here on the board. We really appreciate what you guys did, made it through some difficult times, and right now it seems to be moving along smoothly. So on behalf of the Lancaster Town Board, thank you very much for your service.
Thanks, Bob.
And motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Thank you for my appointment.
You're welcome.
Second the motion? Yes.
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 Again, if anybody has any questions on anything, Andrea does have my cell phone. I guess a couple other people have my cell phone. You're more than welcome to call me anytime and make sure that I'm on board with what the town board is doing, okay? That helps me out a lot.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, buddy.
I think we're over the living on
Okay.
heavens, though. I'm not quite sure.
Yes.
Getting old.
I know, there are.
84. I'm older than you now.
Thank you.